This is a fan-generated show. If you would like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com and also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All your support is greatly appreciated.
Good evening. Welcome to the Glazov Gang. Tonight we have a great privilege and honor to have with us Pierre Rehov, a French-Israeli filmmaker. Pierre Rehov, welcome to the Glazov Gang.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you, Pierre. You are doing such important work. Thank you so much. You've recently made two great films, War Crimes in Gaza, as well as Beyond Deception Strategy. And you really break through a lot of this leftist propaganda, which is just controlling our boundaries of discourse in the West. Before I begin, tell us about why you made these two films.
Well, it's not that I made those two films. As you know, Jamie, I made already 12 before that. I've been making documentaries about the conflict in the Middle East for about 14 years. I started with absolutely no money and a small amateur camera right after the death of Mohammed al-Dura, because I was the first to realize that there was a real problem there. And I wanted to prove that Mohammed al-Dura was not killed by the IDF. I didn't know I was going to spend the rest 14 years of my life to make more documentaries. One other. It was by accident. So I got involved this time, and later on I made a bigger film and then a bigger film. And finally, I found people around me to help me make more. Recently, thanks to donations that I received last year, right after the war in Gaza, I was asked to make actually a film about the conflict and about the Palestinian lives and about especially the death of the 4 kids on the beach, which, you know, as you certainly know, the images were viral around the world. And once more, Israel was accused of a blood libel, of killing children deliberately. So I had to make an investigation on that. And since I was back filming, I decided to make another film at the same time, this time trying to debunk the whole mythology of Israel being an apartheid state. So I made the two films at the same time, and sometimes I would interview the same people about the two subjects, but obviously the two subjects were very different, with only one common target, which is that if you want to accuse Israel of things which are real, it's it's a country like any other country, and you have the right to criticize the country. It's normal. But in order to criticize, you have to know the facts. And what I'm doing with my films is to present the real facts. And facts don't lie. Numbers don't lie. When in Gaza, they come up with a number of 560 children killed during the Gaza war, you have to look at this number, and then you realize that every boy between the age of 15 and 17 in Gaza is not a child. He is a soldier. And they make sure that he's going to carry a weapon, and they make sure that he's going to try to throw a bomb. Those are not children being killed. And when you look at the statistics, you see that the Palestinian, the Hamas and other organizations, I was going to say other organizations such as the United Nations, other terror organizations such as the United Nations, are very, very prompt to accuse Israel for every single death. But when you look at the numbers, nobody died of anything but an Israeli rocket during 51 days. So all these little details are what is beyond the big lie, which is really huge. And we'll talk about it later if you want. But all those little details make a difference about what really happens in a conflict.
Thank you, Pierre. Tell us now about the War Crimes in Gaza film.
Well, as I just said, first of all, because I worked for so many years and I made so many documentaries, I was capable of building a kind of a small network among Palestinians who are not necessarily terrorists and who in some cases are even pro-Israel, or some other cases very simply need money. And they are very happy to work and do whatever you ask them to do. If CNN asks them to make an anti-Israel piece, they will do it for CNN. And with Al Jazeera, they will do it even worse. But if you're here for a small independent producer and you tell them, listen, I would like to investigate deeply into this and that, They just do their job. Of course, you come back with 80% of propaganda because no matter what, everybody in the Gaza Strip and also in the West Bank is trained for propaganda. But when you're a filmmaker, you just know what is right, and I mean, you kind of know what is right and what is not right, depending on what you want to show. So once you get rid of the propaganda, there is still 20% of very interesting, important informations. And I believe the difference between my films and other films available on the conflict is that I only stick to facts. I myself do not do propaganda. If there is something which is bad, which happened, I show it. It did happen. What can I do? But my point of view is very simple. If you only stick to the facts, automatically you're on the side of Israel.
Absolutely. And Pierre, in the film, there's one part when the Israeli soldier, that they're going in and out of these Gaza homes, and they're talking about how there's baby cribs right next to rockets and artillery. What does this say about that culture of Hamas and the Palestinian culture?
Well, Hamas is, as you know, a kind of Islamist, neo-Nazi type of organization. They think like Nazis, but in a way, in my opinion, they are worse than Nazis. Why would I say that? As you can imagine, being a Jew myself, I cannot believe anything in the world can be no worse than Nazism. And yet, Nazis had a project. It was to build the biggest, strongest Germany ever possible and conquer most of Europe with it. Hamas has certainly a project of conquering the rest of the world with Islam, but it's not a social project. The only thing they have is destruction. The only thing they have is killing Jews as many as they can. And the only project they have is to take over Israel and to make it certainly look into what is Gaza today. I mean,
excuse me for interrupting, Pierre. We're running out of time. We wish we had more. Just under a minute, please tell our viewers about Beyond Deception strategy, which of course deals with this boycotts, divestment, and sanctions movement against Israel.
I think this is the BDS movement is certainly one of the biggest threats Israel has ever known because it's growing like a virus all around the planet. It's based on simple lies and biased informations. And the purpose officially is, to give a little state to the Palestinians, to stop what they call occupation. It's not the truth. The real purpose is basically to find a few steps to delegitimize Israel to the point where the country is going to be suffocated and will give up. And if Israel gives up its strategy of defense, Israel is dead because, the real sentence saying that if the Arabs get rid of their weapons, we have peace. If the Jews get rid of their weapons, we won't have Israel anymore. And it's true. It's a fact. So I wanted to show the reality of Israel and the integration of Arabs and other minorities inside Israel, and also the reality in some of the Palestinian territories, including when I went to visit, for instance, SodaStream, which is a big part of my film. I didn't go to see SodaStream to interview the CEO and then have the different slant just from the point of view of Israelis. I want to interview the Palestinian living in Ramallah, living in Nablus, who are working inside the SodaStream and lost their job thanks to the BDS. Thanks to the BDS, 700 Palestinians who were having exactly the same rights, who were having exactly the same accommodations, and sometimes even better, because they had private buses to pick them up, etc., in order to work in Adumim, just outside of Israel, and they lost their jobs.
Thank you, Pierre. Thank you, Pierre, so much. We're out of time. War crimes in Gaza, Beyond Deception strategy, 2 new films. Where can our viewers see your films, Pierre?
They just go on at this point, they just go to Vimeo, vimeo.com, Vimeo.com, and they look for the films or for Pierre Rehov. You will find them, they are available.
Absolutely. Pierre, thank you so much that in a world of darkness and lies and propaganda against freedom-loving people, against Israel, against America, against Western civilization, that you take the effort to get the truth out there, and in doing so, you're really helping the cause of freedom.
Thank you, Jamie. And
Thank you
for having me with you today.
Thank you. And all of you out there, see Pierre Rehov's films. He's made a lot of them, the two recent ones, War Crimes in Gaza, Beyond Deception Strategy. We'll see you on the next edition of the Glazov Gang. Good night.